Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S23 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S22 and see which specific phone you should go ahead and buy. Now, I'm going to be making tons of videos against these two devices, so camera comparisons, battery comparisons, but I will tell you, if you want to buy either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside, at least on the front, there's not really that crazy big of a difference. They look almost identically the same. I kind of thought that the Galaxy S23 was a slightly smaller phone, but that's not quite the case. With the Galaxy S22 that came out last year, this phone has a beautiful 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display. They both basically have the same exact display. And with the Samsung Galaxy S22, had a whole bunch display, 120 hertz. It's a very, very good display. I like this display a lot, and I like the design of the Galaxy S22. Luckily for us, they didn't change anything crazy with the S23. Clearly, they did change the back a little bit, but it's funny because at least on the front, this is the first time in a while they didn't really change anything drastic, at least with the major design, in my opinion. With the Galaxy S23, you are getting pretty much the same display. I think this one's maybe a little bit brighter. It's probably a little bit better here and there, but I don't really notice anything super different. But it's the same size as before, so it's that same 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It looks great. I think it's very, very good when it comes down to it, and there's not too much to complain about. Now, in terms of thickness and thickness, this was the one area I was going to kind of be interested in because Samsung did flatten the back on the S23, but you can kind of see from what I can see that they're almost identically the same. At least looking at them in person, they look almost the same. But you can see we are kind of missing the antenna band here, but we do have the one up here. On the top, pretty much nothing going on, pretty much the same exact thing. And on the bottom, they both have USB-C ports, pretty much nothing else different there. And then on the back, this is probably one of the bigger differences here. So they both still have triple camera setups, but the cool thing is that they now have flattened the back on the S23. Now, if we take a look at the actual bump, I don't know if you can tell, but it did actually protrude out quite a bit here, but it looks like they didn't make the phone thicker. They just kind of flattened the cameras to the back of the phone. I don't know which design I prefer though. I kind of did like this design here. I kind of got used to it. I liked it on the S21, but they both have the frosted glass backs, unlike the S21, which is really nice. I think these are both the white colors too, so you can see how they both kind of look like. They both have wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, IP certification. So there's a lot of similarity here. But another funny thing I noticed is that they did put, so I didn't even notice this, they had the IMEI numbers on the bottom of both these phones. So I didn't even notice that on the S22. The S23, it's a little bit more, pungent, if you will. So in terms of that, it kind of covers it up on the outside. Now, in terms of software and longevity, the Galaxy S22 that came out last year, so far it's gotten one major, one UI version update, which was One UI 5, and it was pretty good. I like One UI 5. I think it's been pretty solid overall. I like the customizability behind this version of software. But if all goes to how I think everything is going to go, the Samsung Galaxy S22 is going to last 1 year less than the Galaxy S23. Unless Samsung changes some crazy things, that's probably what's going to end up happening, which is expected. You get a brand new phone and you expect this one to last longer, and that's pretty much what's going to happen. So with the Galaxy S23 in this case, you are going to be getting a longer lasting phone on this one, but it's not going to be by that much. It's probably only going to be by a year, so you're not really going to miss out on too much in my opinion. So that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. The Samsung Galaxy S22 had that Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. The Samsung Galaxy S23 has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, so let us get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. The Galaxy S23 is here. The S22 is on the left. Messages 3, 2, 1. Okay, camera 3, 2, 1. Okay, S22 I think was slightly faster there. Let's get into the Galaxy Shop 3. I don't even know where the Galaxy Shop is here. There we go. 3, 2, 1. And 2 different pop-ups, but I think the pop-up was faster on the S23. Play Store 3, 2, 1. I think the S23 was slightly faster. So far from the applications that I've tested, they're both very, very similar. But I think the Galaxy S23 has been having the slight edge when it kind of comes down to it. And scrolling through, I think the S23 seems a little bit smoother, but they're both very, very similar there too. I wonder if we have any Google apps, so we can go into Google Photos 3, 2, 1. So I have opened it up on here before, so I probably shouldn't even use this one. We'll just kind of slide out of this one. Now let's open some of these third-party applications. Let's do Dune, which I don't even have. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now I've already opened up all these applications on this phone before. These ones I've had for a year, so these were already open. and of course it's not going to work the first time I do it. So that's usually how it goes. So in this case, it wouldn't have been this big of a difference. We can kind of tell from the graphics of which one is going to be faster, whatever. So we'll just go through this one, and we'll just actually get into some gameplay here. 3, 2, 1. And I don't think anything's going to glitch. Anything's going to be a big issue here. So far, so good. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's get Snake versus Blocks. 3, 2, 1. Now, maybe when I updated to One UI 5, I had to reopen these apps and then accept terms and whatnot. In this case, you can see the Galaxy S22 was also slower than the S23. Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing. Let's do Stack, 3, 2, 1. And I am noticing that it is getting into the splash screen faster than the Galaxy S22, which again is a pretty good thing. I want the newer phones to be faster, and we'll just not get into Instagram for now. And that kind of covers it up. I mean, those are some basic applications within both of these phones. I'll probably do a full speed comparison at some point. Cloud 3, 2, 1. About the same thing too, not a big deal. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go into Facebook 3, 2, 1. Again, I'm noticing slight things. That was a little bit different because the S23 clearly hasn't been in the application yet. But I am noticing that within some of these apps, the splash screen is just so much faster on the Galaxy S23, which is a great thing. Netflix 3, 2, 1. A little bit of a different pop-up here. So I'm going to the Internet 3, 2, 1. And yeah, I mean, definitely I think the S23 is the faster phone, but it isn't like that much faster, to be honest. Like maybe I was expecting it to be a little bit more, but it seems like an incremental improvement, which is always good. So that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. So like I mentioned, they both have triple camera setups on the back, and I truly do think there are way more similarities here than there are differences. So we have wide, ultra-wide telephoto lenses on all of them. We have 8K capability on the back, 4K at 60 on the front. So not really too many big differences here. But last year, I really did like the Samsung Galaxy S22's camera. I thought it was pretty good. It had tons of features built in. And now with One UI 5, there's always new improvements that Samsung's adding, which is nice. I love having that 0.6x zoom, but I love having that 30x zoom as well, which has always been just so amazing to have. Now, Samsung spent a lot of time on their latest keynote talking about the Samsung Galaxy S23's camera. And I think it's definitely going to be a better camera probably on this one. But this camera, I mean, they could have just re-released this camera and it would have been perfectly fine. You still have a ton of modes built in. Portrait mode, under more, you have a lot more of these options. As I mentioned, all these options are always so good to have. So you have that type of capability here, which is really cool. So personally, that's been something that's really, really awesome. With the Galaxy S23's camera, this has been a solid camera too. I haven't really taken too many photos on this thing, but I think from what I've seen, and, from the basic things, it seems to be more or less an upgraded version of the S22's camera, which is kind of expected. You still have 0.6x zoom here. You still are getting 30x zoom as well. So you are still getting the same zoom in and zoom out capability that we had before, which is perfectly fine. I don't really have too much to complain about there. But with this type of phone, this is a very, very good phone in terms of the camera. You are still getting basically the same type of options and then some on this specific phone. You are getting director's view, single take, some same stuff that we had before, some new stuff. So it's pretty cool that they're adding some new features, but I will definitely tell you when it comes down to it, the Galaxy S23's camera is probably the better one, but I still think the S22's camera is still very good too. So to kind of sum up the main things, I mean, I'll have to kind of come back, to you guys with a few things. The battery life comparison I'll have to drop, but from everything that I've seen so far, the Galaxy S23, I think, is a more optimized version of the S22. Last year, the S22, for my opinion, I've had a few issues with it. One, I love the phone. I think it's probably like a 8 out of 10 phone. The only issues I've had lately was with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset. Before, I was perfectly fine with it. But I realized that as I'm more on the go and I don't have my phone plugged in, my phone the battery just gets sucked up like crazy. And apparently that's been because the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, wasn't really as optimized as it could be. So now with the 8 Gen 2, I think that's going to be one area where it's going to be, super beneficial at. I think the S23 is a very good phone. I think it's definitely an upgrade coming from the S22. But if you do have an S22, actually if you have an S21, to be honest, even if you have an S20, you might want to keep that phone maybe for another few months. The S23s are going to go down in the used market by quite a bit, so you might be able to get a really good deal on this phone coming in the future. So in terms of that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.